Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Kistler O'Brien podcast. I'm Tyler Trumbauer with Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection. As it's the month of March already, time for our third episode of 2022 for the KOB podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, you can check them out on our YouTube channel. Just search us Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, or our audio-only versions on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us there. Today, having a good conversation with a member of the KOB family, one of the newest members of the sales team as well here at KOB. Stephen Moser joining us here today on the KOB podcast in person as well. Thank you for joining in, giving us a few minutes of your time, sir, and want to just kind of dive right in. Like I said, you're fairly new to the team, especially the sales team. You've joined in the last few months, and really your first foray into fire and life safety industry.
Yes.
Before we get into that fire and life safety part, kind of walk us through your professional background before joining KOB.
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me on. This is going to be an experience for sure. My work history is primarily in operations, primarily in the chemical industry. So was an operations guy for about 16 years. Did a whole gambit of things throughout operations, but, from a technician to logistics and shipping and receiving, to being a lead on a specific process, to supervision of a group of people, to management of a larger group of people. So I have seen pretty much how everything works within the operations. And the sales aspect of things is something that I was kind of always interested in. But yeah, operations.
So is that what motivated you to join KOB? Was that it was a sales opening, or what really led you to Kistler?
Yeah, I mean, the sales thing was something that I was certainly interested in. So, that was appealing to me. Operations has been my past, but that doesn't mean it needs to be my entire career, right? So, although I did enjoy my time in operations and learned quite a few things, the sales thing breaks me out into, the world as opposed to just one confined space. And, allows me to meet new people and certainly to learn a new trade.
Certainly. And what have you made from your time at Kistler O'Brien, not only in a brand new realm like you talked about with sales from operations, but what's it like been so far here joining this company?
It's been great. I mean, it's been fun. One of the things that I enjoyed with my first job was how it had a family atmosphere. And when I first came on board here at Kistler, I felt that immediately, that it's a good group of people that all want to work together for a common goal. Keep that going. As far as the family atmosphere, it makes everybody want to come to work as opposed to dread coming to work. It's obviously been a change for me. When you're talking about operations, you typically have a defined process, and then you are creating a procedure for that process, and that's how you do your job. When you're talking about sales, and specifically fire protection, for me, it's not the same. Every place is different. Every place you go to has, a different thing that needs to be protected, or a different room size, or whatever the circumstances, it's different, which keeps you on your toes, and, I enjoy that.
So you kind of led me into the next part of my question, but what are your thoughts on this industry, fire safety, life safety? Kind of talked about a little bit there with the variety, but
Right.
Really, I know you've been just immersing yourself in the details, the code, the requirements,
Yes.
What it means to protect people's property and their employees
Sure.
as a commercial fire safety company. Kind of what have been your thoughts on this industry now that you've learned so much more about it?
Right. So, in my past, I wouldn't say it was just neglected, but I think fire safety is kind of overlooked by people within a facility. You just assume that things are going to work if there's an issue. Coming on board here, there was a lot to learn, and there still is, and I'm learning every day, which I enjoy, but there's a lot, and it makes you sit back and think about making sure that your products are protecting the people and the environment that those people are working in. That's obviously the goal, is to make sure that people remain safe in their work environment. And then obviously you're protecting property in the building. So being on, going out on job sites to see how things operate and how those, operations need to be protected, again, it's a learning experience for me, but, every day it's something different, and every day I feel like I'm learning something different.
You talk about going out into the field. You mentioned earlier about going out into a new world. So you're at these customer sites. What has been the biggest surprise for you seeing these customer sites, being in these facilities, and seeing either their fire safety needs or what the system they have in place that already does for them? What's kind of been the biggest surprise for you?
Well, I kind of already touched on that, just how every place is different. You don't just have a cookie cutter system. The parts are pretty much the same, but every facility has a different layout, a different process, and different ways that they want that space protected. So obviously the biggest thing is to identify what that customer is looking for, what that business is looking for to protect their space or their people or their process. And it's our job as sales reps for Kistler and the operations team here at Kistler to make sure that we're providing that customer with the best customer experience, right? Giving them what they're looking for, not cutting corners. That's one of the best things about working here is that, like I said before, having that family type atmosphere, you have everybody working together, right? To make sure that the customer gets what they want. That's going to generate recurring business. That's going to continue to keep our name in good standing as it has been for almost 90 years now. And I want to be a part of that process.
Certainly. And we mentioned you're part of a growing sales team here, nearly 24 members of that sales team, and it continues to grow.
Yes.
You focus on suppression systems, clean agent systems you're working on. Kind of tell us a little bit more about those for individuals out there that to them fire safety means more extinguishers, right?
Sure.
Kind of color between the lines for us a bit on those systems and what they do for the end user.
Sure. I mean, I think when you think about fire protection, you're thinking, like you said, extinguishers, sprinklers, things of that nature. My area is clean agent suppression, which is essentially things that need to be protected without getting wet, right? So you don't want to put them out with water because it's going to ruin the equipment. So where I'm focusing on is things of higher value, data centers, things of that nature, CNC machines where you don't want to get them wet, different applications where you can't just put them out with water, okay? So you're either going to use a clean agent gas or a dry chemical powder or things like that.
Right. And for someone that has a facility for those types of things, why is that super important that they can't say, well, let me just do the bare bones? Why is it getting the full from an extinguisher with the right material in it to the clean agent with the right material in it? Not just something to check a box, but something that, in the case of a fire emergency is going to protect their downtime, protect their property. Like you said, those are high dollar value things. What is kind of that message that you give to those facilities, those business owners that may be a bit skeptical about needing a system of that caliber?
Well, you just kind of touched on it. I mean, you're looking at downtime and you're looking at additional costs down the line. So you may have more of an upfront cost putting in a suppression system initially, but if there were a situation where there was a fire and you only had sprinklers to put it out with water, now you're looking at losing all your equipment, the downtime for losing your equipment, the cost of repairing that equipment, and then putting in a suppression system after the fact.
Right.
You might as well just get it over with on the first go around.
Certainly. So we talked about the systems you're working on. For those that are in the audience of our podcast, where do you focus your area as far as sales? If they wanted to work with you, what kind of territory do you have?
So I'm in the New Jersey market. So anywhere within the state, I'm focusing in northern New Jersey right now because I'm kind of new, but anywhere in New Jersey, and I'm available to help. Absolutely.
Certainly. So there you go. If you're in the New Jersey market, as he said, and you're in this area looking for potential suppression systems, clean agents, feel free to reach out to Steve here at KOB on LinkedIn as well. We'll have his contact information in our posts on social media. Be sure to reach out to him for your fire safety needs. Sir, we appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Once again, welcome to the team, and we appreciate you joining us here on the KOB podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and thank you all, our audience, for tuning in for this month's episode. Be sure to check out any of our other ones in our archives online. As I mentioned earlier, YouTube, Apple, Google Play, or Spotify as well. We'll talk to you next time. For Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, I'm Tyler Trumbauer.